The next size would be the type that you would find sports fields, areas, parks where they really want vandal-proof conditions. I wonder if the spring's in this thing. Put a stainless steel top on it. Now the value to the stainless steel, and again it pops up the same distance, and these get to be stout springs on these. I mean really stout. Somebody can't just come up and kick the top of that sprinkler head and kick it off. This thing can withstand that kind of abuse, or come up and hit it with a bat. Yeah, that might take it out. But you could hit it hard enough with a baseball bat and you'd take her out. But probably not so just kicking it with your foot. And that can be a problem. And so one of the solutions is make that pop-up stainless steel and make that canister really stout to withstand the abuse from vandalism. So you might find this particular head in a professional ballpark, because this one is, again, a little bit bigger. It is a single stream, has a backup nozzle. It upscales the flow rates. We're probably up to the, in this guy, maybe 10 to 25 GPM. Now our pressures, we want 50 to 80 PSI. And our range could be somewhere in the 75-foot throw. So we just keep getting bigger. And then we can go to the golf course size rotors. And I have a small golf course rotor here. Again with the valve in head. So this one can be operated from a distant source. The solenoid happens to be taken out of it right now. But a solenoid would just thread right into here. Wires would be hanging down from it. This is the smallest size golf course head. A big dish on top so that it stays stable and level. That way when it gets run over by all those golf carts and the mowers and so on, it doesn't get tilted. It stays nice and flush, and it anchors itself in and stays level. So that's the reason for the big flange on the top. They're put flush with the ground, and again they pop up. This will have a double rotor nozzle in it, and but it's a part circle, designed for part circle, so they both shoot forward. Some of the full circle ones will have a forward and a backup nozzle coming out the back. And golf course rotors, and the smaller golf courses about 12 gallons a minute, and we can get up to about 100 on the really big ones. And those really big ones are going to have that characteristic of that 80 series impact pretty much. Pressure ranges anywhere from 50 to about 120 PSI, somewhere in that range. And maximum range about 100 and say 10 feet. Again, those are close. Now we've covered impact style sprinklers, we've covered rotors style sprinklers. Now we're going to look at rotators, the next in the evolution. Not to be confused with rotors. These are slightly different. And many years ago, a style came out. This came out of Austria, this particular sprinkler. And it uses the concept of opposing force to turn it by having a little bit of water shoot out the side of this little side nozzle. It drives the sprinkler sideways. Most of the water is going straight out the yellow nozzle, but there's just a little bit of water that comes out a very small hole in the side of the nozzle that creates a side force. With the water shooting that way, it forces the nozzle to turn this way. Now that thing would just spin around like a whip if it didn't have some kind of resistance. And as you see, as I spin this, I'm pushing on this with quite a bit of energy, And there is internally in here a silicone gel acting as a brake. And so what we're using is resistance due to a very thick fluid dragging on the stem of this nozzle to slow it down. And that's the concept of a rotator. Well, that has been expanded into a much more common look today, and you will see this style of rotator. And again, this plate here, it doesn't freewheel. See, there is resistance to it because this little blue cap up here on the top of this plate is filled with silicone. And this stainless steel stem that's going from this rotating disc up into this cap actually gets braked by that silicone gel that's up in that cap.
Does it ever heat up or anything?
It never turns that fast to ever cause a viscous problem. And obviously the hotter the day, the warmer the liquid silicone, the less resistance, but it's not significant. Yeah, it's not significant. It still operates and it's within its entirety. And these are used mostly on pivots. And you'll see them upside down off of drops, down close to the ground, or way up on the top of the pivot standing upward. And this one has 4 different depressions, so it's actually catching water and sending out 4 individual streams of water, and they're just turning like fingers up on the top of the pivot or down as an underneath drop on a pivot.